With Bitcoin seeing a reasonable amount of volatility recently, I thought it was a good idea to take a look at what has been going on with the macro picture for Bitcoin, sharing my thoughts and opinions as to what I think is going to happen next based on some technical indicators. Let's roll that intro and get right down into it. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another Bitcoin video update. Here we have Bitcoin paired up with USD. We are on the 1 week Bitstamp data here. And what I've added here is a Gaussian channel. The Gaussian channel is an indicator that we've looked at many times in the past. It was quite an interesting indicator that helps us understand whether or not, we should be bullish or not. Now, ultimately, it's driven from three basically moving averages, right? And these moving averages will give you kind of some form of predictive capability as to whether we're in bullish markets or whether we're in bearish markets. The easiest way to read the Gaussian channel is that if it is green, then ultimately we're in bullish times. And if it is red, it is ultimately the time to be buying. It is the lower value areas. It's where you want a dollar cost average, so those kind of things. Now, in the early days, the Gaussian channel was really predictive over where the bear market was coming and where the bull market was coming. Let me show you what's going on over here back in 2014 into those lows, right? Let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. So the Gaussian channel here basically was above our first upper average line, right? This is the upper band. Now, from here, you can see that we were bouncing from it, but we did not close inside that first band, right? And this kept us in bullish times. Then, of course, the second that we actually got a closed candle inside that Gaussian channel on the weekly time frame, we saw slippage to the downside. We bounced on the midline a little bit, lost that, come down again. We were closing above that bottom line, and then as soon as we closed below it, bam, we were down into the lows. And this is obviously when the Gaussian channel also turned red, as in this is where the value is. This is where you want to be buying up BTC. So you had all of this opportunity here to dollar cost average. And the second that we closed above the upper band on the Gaussian channel, we were in bullish times and we moved right out and we never came back in. Okay, so there's a couple of key points right here is that the second that we closed inside the Gaussian channel, we went down lower than the low band. And the second that we closed out of above the Gaussian channel, essentially we never came back in. Okay, so indication of this closure here was bearish market. And the indication here is when we're closed above, bullish market. Okay, so the Gaussian channel in 2014-15 was really good and really predictive. Okay, we then had this fantastic 2017 bull market, and we start to see the same scenario. We closed inside the Gaussian channel after bouncing on it. We closed inside it, and that led us down here. And then we move up, we break on up, we close above, and we start to rally. And then 2020 comes around, and in 2020 the pandemic started to really kick in, specifically around November. You can see here that we actually closed inside the Gaussian channel for the first time, and then we moved up, we closed outside, and then we fell again into 2020, March 2020 candle. Okay, now what's really interesting about this is that from our lows of 2018, we were very consistent, right? The previous cycle, close inside the Gaussian channel, bear market. Close above the Gaussian channel, bull market. And if it wasn't for the pandemic, I'm a believer of saying that this candle here in October of 2019, or maybe even this one here in November 2019, would have held and we would have just rallied up. If it wasn't for COVID, I don't think we would have seen this little section here. That being said, we did, and this is where things started to change. We go into 2021's bull market. And up here, we have something that has never happened in the history of the Gaussian channel, outside of obviously what we saw in the pandemic. Over this side here, we had a closure inside the Gaussian channel 1 week, a closure above the Gaussian channel the next week, and then another close inside. Okay, this then led us down into that bear market. You can see that value was had here in this Gaussian channel, dollar cost average wise, from May 2022 all the way through to July 2023. Now, the Gaussian channel, we closed above the Gaussian channel, we closed inside the Gaussian channel, we've closed above the Gaussian channel. So really, the Gaussian channel in itself has been, well, historically, at least for the 2014 and 2018 kind of bear markets, looking very, very good and very predictive. It kind of led a lot of people into thinking that, we're going to repeat the same kind of pattern here in 2023 and 2022, right? Essentially thinking, right, we're in bullish times, we're in bullish markets now. One of the things I do think we need to reflect on, though, are the underlined differences between what happened previously and what is happening now. For the first time in the Gaussian channel's history here for Bitcoin and many other new things that have happened in Bitcoin history, we see that these indicators are starting to have new variables thrown at them, and they're not reacting in the same way that they had done previously. So although the Gaussian channel right now is in green and the price action is quite significantly above it, it's not to say that this is going to be a predictive capability. What are my expectations, though? Well, my expectations are that we probably are in a bullish market and we are unlikely to close back inside the Gaussian channel. But a word of warning. When we close inside the Gaussian channel after the Gaussian channel going green, historically speaking, it has been a bit of an indicator that worse times are coming. So I'm looking at the Gaussian channel now as a good support range. I think that a Bitcoin correction is coming. I've spoken about this a number of different times. This should be no surprise to anyone at this point that I am expecting $30,000 BTC. Now, the upper band for the Gaussian channel at the moment, that sits right up here, is coming in at $29,938. So a retest of this area, turning it into a support range, could be exactly what we need to see before we actually get that launch to the upside. Again, this is not uncommon, as we often find ourselves with these surges outside of the Gaussian channel, and then a retest of that upper band before we actually get into those bullish markets. We'll go back to 2014 and show you exactly what happened there. Okay, let's bring this back down. We have that initial surge out. We then have our retest of this Gaussian channel upper band, and then we move on up. And you'll notice as well that there's many other tests of this area as well as we start to see mini corrections on the way up. Okay, it's not a coincidence that this is a good key area of support. Lose this area of support though, and I would expect us to basically move on down a little bit deeper. But again, no guarantees when it comes to the Gaussian channel, as new underlying variables are essentially teaching this indicator how to behave going forward. So I think for the most part, the Gaussian channel still has a little bit of predictive capabilities in and around the fact that they are moving averages to a degree, and price will want to react to those moving averages. You can let me know what your thoughts are on the Gaussian channel in the comments down below. And if you are looking for a little bit more on my thoughts about what's going on in the market, why not check out this video right here where I discuss it in a little bit more detail.